Good day and welcome to the Frontline Chatter podcast. My name is Jarian Gibson and I am back with my two co-hosts today, and we are going to talk about EUC World Independence. How you doing today, Sean?
I'm good, Jarian. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It's Monday and you're back to the new grind. How you doing today, Steven?
Fantastic.
Great. Well, today we want to just come and talk about EUC World Independence. It is the month of August, so we have about to the end of the month until the early bird ends. Call for papers ends today, but we may be extending call for papers for the lightning sessions for a few more weeks. Before we get started, I wanted to thank our sponsors so far for the event: Tenzig, Aporto, Liquidware, Nerdio, NVIDIA, Omnissa, and Sonnet.io. EUC World Independence will be October 22nd and 23rd in Silver Spring, Maryland. The first day will be a traditional conference style in AFI Theater, Silver Theater. The second day for the first half of the day will be traditional conference style, with the second half of the day being an unconference style. We will be changing venues the second day. So the first day, like I said, will be at the AFI Silver Theater, and the second day we will be at the Hilton Doubletree. Now, the nice thing about that is that's where most of us are staying, is at the Hilton Doubletree, so we won't have to go far for that second day. Now, with that being said, let's start with Sean. Why this event, and why should people come to this event?
So starting me off with the hard questions, huh? I think we're long overdue for another independent EUC conference, right? Bri Forum kind of predates me. I think I made it to the last one in 2017 in Boston. And, since then, we haven't really had an independent EUC event, one that kind of cuts across all vendors, cuts across all the different technologies in the stack. Don't get me wrong, there's been some great conferences. Cisco has had Citrix.
OCs, we get you.
Yeah. So Citrix has had Synergy, VMware, and now Omnissa has had EUC content at VMworld. Oh, hi, Kat. Hi. So they've had content there. iGel has had Disrupt. There's been things like E2E, but that has been, I don't think Alex will like hearing this, but it's been kind of a niche conference to people in the space. Doesn't necessarily have as broad of a reach, especially in the Americas. Although I will stand corrected on that, if I'm wrong. And there's been a few other little events, EUC Day for VMUG, things like that. But you know what? We haven't had a true big vendor independent conference. And as I look at what we've put together for this event, I'm really starting to feel like, and I know probably a lot of people in the EUC community haven't been there, but like a KubeCon, right? It's a completely independent conference run by an organization that's not a vendor, uplifting the entire ecosystem. And that's what really excites me about EUC World, especially it being its first year. So why come, right? Like, first off, we're going to have some great keynotes. We've got Sean Bass, Gabe Knuth, Brian Madden, you're right, the OG3 of the old Bri Forum, coming back to help us kick off this new event as our keynotes. I know the agenda's not out yet. We're still working through the call for papers process, but from what I've seen of the submissions so far, we're going to have some great content, some great speakers who have submitted. And I think it's going to be a hard choice in some of these cases, but I think the best part of all of this is going to be around networking, right? How long has it been since we've all been together in person, for a conference, whether it's, 1 day or 2 days, right? I mean, there's been a few things. Unplugged was earlier this year. iGel Disrupt was earlier this year, but just getting everyone together to talk about EUC, to talk about in that unconference part of the event, right? Anything you're passionate about, whether it's technology or not, or just getting together to network and share knowledge is what's really exciting.
Yeah, and that's good thoughts there, Sean. Are you still going? I thought you paused, or were you done?
Oh, I think I went over my time. Steven, I'm going to hand you my soapbox.
Well, before we do the Steven real quick, though, I just want to correct a little bit on ETE. So ETE has, had a little footprint in North America. They had LA after Synergy one time. They had Fort Lauderdale or Orlando after Synergy one time, and then a separate New York event. But primarily, they're based in Europe. The Discount Montreal, it's a great event, but while primarily it's European-based, we haven't had that kind of footprint in the U.S., so just a little correction.
All right, well, and thanks for that. Like I said, I was open to being corrected on that because I personally haven't been to E2E, although I have heard, like Thomas Poppelgaard talk about it and, how much fun it is. But it definitely did not have the same, like, attraction or footprint in the US as it did in Europe. So, all right. So I apologize for the error. Alex, please don't kill me.
It's all good. It's all good. Steven, let's go with you on your thoughts of why this event and why people should come to it.
I'm excited because it's supposed to be something different. I think we can all agree that the vibe that's been going on in our space, the EUC space, there's been a bit of a buzzkill for the last couple of years because a lot of the stuff that's been happening with the major vendors, all of us, we do the conference runs, we're all flying around all over the place. And before this big shakeup, everything was great. We were all going to the conferences, we were sharing knowledge, we were having fun, we were connecting with old acquaintances, we were connecting with new acquaintances. And then, the vibe killer happened. And, there's been a major shakeup. A lot of us, it doesn't matter if you're a customer, end user, or a service provider, everyone's been exploring new avenues and looking at new technologies, new software stacks. And so there's this gap that, one of the reasons why we tried to create World of EUC in the first place was to address this gap, provide an avenue for customers, partners to go down their road, investigate new technologies, look at options. And so with everything that's happened, we now have an event where all that information is available. We have experts with all these different software stacks. The vibe's getting better. We're bringing everyone together under different circumstances. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I think it's just going to be a solid kick-ass event where, we can get the good vibe back, get everyone together, have the technical sessions, make new friends, bring in new blood, and just, have that feel good time. It's unfortunate that things couldn't go on forever the way that they were, but that's just the way it is. Things get stale if they don't change. So, we have the new change. We have an option, and I'm just excited to have everyone come up for that. And I'm excited to see what happens with this all.
Well said there, Steven. And I'm sorry I'm laughing. This is the chat here. We can't repeat that on air though. But I agree as well, especially trying to get the new blood in. If these type of things is where you kind of make those connections. It's I've known Sean for many years. I knew of Steven, but we didn't really meet until we started working on the World of EUC together, and we finally met in person at Disrupt in Miami. Or in Hollywood, I guess you call it, Florida. But, I've made many acquaintances in the community, made some really good relationships and friends. And, it just starts by just showing up, right? You don't have to be on stage. You don't have to be, those big sessions, to come to learn, collaborate. One of the biggest things about these events is just the collaboration and making the friends and the connection. So definitely agree there. And as we kind of transition over into the session types. So we are going to have the different session types here. So, we're going to have our traditional, expo hall with our sponsors there, where you can go talk to vendors and get ideas. If you're looking at solutions, especially with the change up in the EUC space here, a lot of changes, a lot of emerging vendors out there now. It's really no longer just the big three. There's other ones out there as well. And then looking at, our traditional keynote, we'll have our 45-minute sessions out there. We'll have a couple panel sessions. So, just our community panel, just talking about the community and that. And then also our diversity and tech panel, fireside chat as well. And then we kind of get into lightning sessions, right? So if, you're new out there and don't want to do a full 45-minute session, you want to kind of get your toe in the water and just kind of get the taste of presenting, we have those lightning sessions for you. Couple slides, not a huge amount of work, kind of get the nerves out. I've been presenting for many years. I still get nervous. I have my pre-game presentation that I go through to kind of get my nerves down, my anxiety and that kind of stuff. And then what's really fun is the end of the second day, the afternoon, we'll have our unconference session to where, people can start putting in the sessions, voting the first day, and then we'll start breaking those out the second day in the afternoon to where you can kind of bring your own session. So, if you don't get picked for the 45-minute slot, you can always go do a lightning session. You can also propose your session for the unconference as well. And then even too, this is also an opportunity to, if you want to do any community presenting webinars as well, to have your session teed up for that also. So this time I'll start with Steven on this one. Any thoughts or anything you like particular about the session types that we're proposing for the event?
I think these are perfect because the whole concept of this is for the community by the community. So whether you have something pre-prepared that you can really go into detail with and share like an orchestrated presentation, or if you want to take advantage of those lightning sessions just to talk about something cool, new, and exciting that you're working on. Like I hate saying this, but AI is the big buzz. Everyone's trying to talk about AI. It's annoying, but it is what we have to start incorporating into things. And I'm doing a lot of cool stuff in my home lab that I hope I get the chance to share during these lightning sessions. But I'm also hoping that we get some other folks to come up and talk about what they're doing, especially how it ties into EUC, whether it's on the software development side or other things. So, it's just the perfect platform. And like you said, if you're new to presenting and if you just want to get your feet wet, 15 minutes, it seems like a lot of time, but it's not that much. So if you just want to get up there, engage with a crowd of people, get a dialogue going, share what you're working on, get some feedback, it's a perfect way to do it.
Sean, your thoughts?
I can't really add to what Steven has said, right? The lightning sessions are a great way to get started in presenting, to share what you're doing, right? It doesn't have to be big, but there's always something that you're doing that others can learn from. I think the 45-minute sessions, they're traditional conference sessions. What I'm really excited for, though, is kind of the unconference part, because I've been unlucky scheduling wise, and I haven't been able to make it out to EUC Unplugged. And, we have Steve Greenberg helping us out and with that portion. And he's run Unplugged for, I don't even know how many years he's been doing it. And it's timing wise, I've just never been able to make it to it. So I'm really excited for that. And for, to see what everybody brings to the table and is willing to share, whether it's EUC related or just anything cool. I think, what was it, a few years ago, Ron Oglesby did a unconference session on how to sharpen a knife. So there's a lot, right, that you can learn from this, both technology wise and potentially other things. So that's what I would really have to say I'm most excited for.
And that's a good segue, because our next topic was going to be the unconference stuff as well. So that's a great segue there that Sean led with. And I haven't had the privilege of going to Unplugged either as well. Usually it comes up in a time of year where I have family related stuff going on the weekend, so it's kind of hard to get away. But yeah, I've heard there were some good sessions. Even Lee Jeffrey's wife did a great session this year. I believe just about the technical issues and, people not having internet and trying to get, that out to them. So they have those type of tools, kind of the technical diversity type of thing there. And then Ron Oglesby did another one this year about your go bag, I heard as well. So being able to do the go bag. So Steven, you were there this year, I believe. So what are your thoughts on this day 2 unconference style and with your experience from going to Unplugged?
I'm really excited for it. because we're doing something very similar to what Steve Greenberg's doing. And for those who don't know, Steve Greenberg is part of our advisory council for events at World EUC. So we're lucky enough to have him come in and help us out with this. You could say we're not trying to copy or steal EUC Unplugged, but we're just trying to bring in the community association that Steve's been able to accomplish with everything that he's done. I've been going to EUC Unplugged for the last couple of years. Absolutely love it, and will continue to go. I think they're amazing events, and I think the whole concept behind it, with what we're doing very similarly, it's going to be fantastic, because for those who want to have a session on something that may not be directly associated with EUC, or if they want to have something more casual, like a conversation with a group of individuals at a sit-down table, all of these can be pitched. And essentially, for those who aren't aware, we pitch the ideas, the community votes on which sessions they would like to see happen, and we have a chance to kind of have an unconference conference where you get to pick your path. And I hope I'm not stealing those words, but this is what's really exciting about it, is because you don't know what's going to happen, and it's kind of I don't want to sound cheesy, but it's kind of beautiful the way that it all comes together. And again, it has the focus on the community and the people that are participating in it that make it happen, right?
Yeah, I agree there as well. And that kind of goes into, we talked about why this event, why you should come, the session types, the on-conference stuff, but what is your message to the community leading into this event? I know at World EUC, our whole message is for the community, by the community. But, how do you want to expand on that? And we'll start with Stephen again on this one.
So for me, I want to challenge people to come to this event, and, the tables have turned, like it's no longer vendor driven. It's driven by the community. So I want you to come to this event. I want you to share with your fellow community. I want you to have dialogue with your vendors. The whole purpose of World EUC, jumping away from the conference for a second, is for a partnership between the community and vendors. That's one of the reasons why we don't want to have a single direct affiliation with the vendor, is because it's all about choice and community. And so you can have a dialogue, you can share with the vendors what you want, the community can share what they need from a technology aspect and that sort of thing. And it comes back down to the community too, with this event. It's a perfect opportunity to have a dialogue and just kind of build the EUC future together.
On your thoughts?
Stephen kind of stole the words right out of my mouth here, right? Like, he couldn't have said it better. It's very much about the community and having a dialogue with the vendors. So come, right? Come to the event, get to know the rest of the community. I mean, if you're new to EUC, if you haven't been out for a while because of the last few years, just come, right? There's going to be something here for you no matter what. Even if it's just as an attendee, there's going to be a ton to learn, a ton of networking, and an opportunity to do some really fun things by being there with the rest of the community.
Yeah, I would agree. And I would say that the biggest thing for me is, besides Sean and what Stephen said, is the big thing is the networking, right? Being able to possibly have those in-person connections where you have mainly only met online or through social media, virtually, that kind of thing. A good face-to-face is always good to kind of, have that in-person time. Like I said before, I've made some great connections in the community. Even if you're gonna present, don't put too much worry into it. This is coming from a person who worries all the time, but it's something. We're going to support you, right? The community is there for you, no matter how good or bad or any kind of technical difficulties that happen during the session. It's all supportive, right? I remember the first time I presented, and I'm talking more on people looking at the call for paper side of this, and maybe are hesitant to get out and present, and that's why we added the lightning session to kind of ease that. But you could have good sessions, you could have bad sessions, but you know what? The community is there to support you. They'll help you. You can also possibly find a mentor as well to help you out. So there's all kind of good things of just coming, even if you're not presenting. Maybe you do need a mentor, or maybe you want someone that you can reach out to. And again, I've made some great connections by coming to these events and working with the community. So, these are all great things here to make sure that the community knows that everyone is there to support you. It's a big extended community, a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of diversity, a lot of even, not just the cultural side, personal side, but also the technical side as well. You mentioned AI, there's going to be security, there's going to be performance, there's going to be different solutions out there that you can look at, whether it's the core brokering solution or it's an add-on solution that you're looking for to your environment to provide better profiles, better management, graphics, that kind of stuff. So all kinds of different diversity there technical wise as well. And that's why, the community should come to this and support this, because, where you're going to kind of get that, where you're going to have a industry independent EUC event without only having one vendor pushing their core message down to you.
And one thing I want to add to this that just kind of popped into my head when you talked about diversity in technologies, right? I think a lot of us in this space got our start with like Citrix or Horizon, right? The traditional VDI app publishing platform. But EUC is so much more than that these days, right? It's device management, it's endpoint management, it's end user experience. So even if you're not doing VDI, right? You're not using Citrix, you're not using Horizon, WorkSpot, AVD, Nerdio, etc., right? Maybe you're just responsible for device management. Maybe you're doing Intune or Workspace ONE or something like that. There's still going to be things here for you because that's all part of EUC. So, you may hear us mention like add-on solutions and brokers and things like that, but keep in mind, right, if you're doing something really cool around device management, or you have lessons to share around that, or device monitoring or endpoint management or whatever it is, right? If it's even tangentially related to EUC, submit to the call for papers, show up and have that hallway track and talk about the cool stuff you're doing, because this community is so much more than just, VDI.
Yeah. And, we're going to have leading experts in the field and with all the different products, and we're going to have very good representation from a lot of vendors. So I know that while we have focused on a lot of the community side of things, there is going to be significant resources available if you attend this conference, which is just going to be absolutely fantastic because it's going to start many, many, many excellent conversations.
So, as a call to action, submit a topic, whether you want to do a full 40-minute session, and by the time this goes out, I think that's going to be done, so let's scratch that. Submit a topic. You still have lightning round session we can do. Those are going to be open a little bit longer to help get those who are still kind of on the fence about presenting or not. Register. Bring a friend. Bring more than one friend. Make sure you plan everything out. We are going to be in Silver Spring, Maryland. So your best bet is going to be, I believe, DCA for airport-wise or BWI. All three are going to be close where you can get there. The Hilton Doubletree is right down the street, if not right next to the theater. So we're going to be in walking distance. It's a nice little area. Day one at the theater, day two at the Doubletree. Second half of day two is going to be the unconference. But dates here, good idea. So Stephen, do you have some dates in front of you that you can share?
I actually don't have them in front of me, but we do need to mention what the cutoffs are for the early bird registration as well as the other key dates.
I pulled it up. So early bird pricing for the 150 attendance fee is going to go through the end of this month. So September 1st, we are going to be out of early bird pricing, and we're going to be in general pricing from the month of September. So $200 it goes up to then, September 1st to September 31st. And then hopefully no one needs this, but there will be late registration starting October 1st, and then it goes to $250. So if you get in before the end of this month, you're going to save $100 registration fee. The nice thing too is though, if you submit a session topic and it's accepted, whether it's the full or the lightning, your attendance fee is covered. You don't have to worry about that. You just have to worry about getting there. So make sure you have those dates. Any other thoughts or things before we close things out, gentlemen?
If you're on the fence about coming, if you're not sure if you can get budget or T&E from your employer or fund this out of pocket, right? Just keep in mind what a traditional conference costs, even if it's, for 2 to 3 days or a week. And then, look at the price that we have for EUC World, right? It's low, right? It's not very expensive at all. We picked an area where, airfare shouldn't be too expensive. The hotel rates are reasonable. So if you have any concerns about price, right, we've factored that into our planning.
Steven, anything else?
I don't know if I have much else to share. I'm really excited for this to happen. I'm excited for everyone to get together. And like I said, with the vibe, something like this is really needed. And it's about time that we got this done.
Well, to close things out, I'd like to thank our sponsors who jumped on board early again. We still have some sponsorship spots left, but for those that jumped on early, thank you again to Tenzig, Aporto, Liquidware, Nerdio, NVIDIA, Omnissa, and Summit.io. And we hopefully will see you there. I just want to say thank you for listening to this special express episode of Frontline Chatter podcast, brought to you by the World of EUC, for us to discuss EUC World. Also, too, don't forget to sign up on the page, join the Slack forums, especially if you sign up on the website, not the page, I mean. You'll be able to get alerts on other things like webinars, podcast, any kind of events that we're doing as well. So make sure that you sign up on the website to stay in communication with us and get all the alerts. Also, too, we are now across social media, so you can follow the World of EUC on LinkedIn, on Twitter/X, on Facebook, on Instagram, and Threads. We'll be cross-posting things across the social media as well. So with that being said, thank you for listening to the Frontline Chatter podcast, and we will talk to you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.